UFC Fight Night Winnipeg just took place last night, and it was actually a pretty decent card. We got lots of finishes, lots to talk about in this card, so let's just jump right into it. We're going to go over every single fight, starting with the early prelims. Very first fight on the card, Jamie Siraj and John Yanez. I got this one right. I thought that Yanez was going to pull through. He had more experience. He looked pretty much levels above Jamie Siraj, the hometown favorite. I don't really know how Jamie Siraj got in the UFC, but, clearly the UFC wants the next Canadian talent. So Jamie Siraj, maybe not the best. Maybe he was rushed a little bit, has a decent record, but clearly was just outskilled by John Yanez. I think got a looping right hand, hurt him early, put him down. And that's all there is to say about that one. We move on to the next fight. John Castaneda versus John Voldogan, 1-0 fighter, as I said in my predictions video. He clearly had a little more experience than that. That's a mistake on my part. But this fight ended up being a draw. I did pick John Castaneda just simply because he had more UFC experience. He's fought some good guys, even though he's lost to them. But this was a pretty fun fight, actually. These two were scrapping. I wouldn't say it was close, but Mark over here was actually hanging in there. He probably went with about 50 rolling thunders, which was pretty funny. But I think that John Castaneda won this fight, but I think he got a point deducted due to low blows, and he ended up, I don't know. Even with the low blow, it's like, I kind of feel like he won every single round. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think that he won that, so I'm going to take that as a right pick for me. But this next one, even though I technically got it right, I'm still pretty pissed about it. J.J. Aldrich versus Jamie Lynn Horth. I had originally picked J.J. Aldrich in my predictions video because I had thought that J.J. Aldrich had fought better opponents, even though she has lost a couple fights. I thought that, I don't know, I thought she was going to be, the boxing, small. She could be quicker. Jamie Lynn Horth is a little up there in age. Very last minute, though. I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? J.J. Aldrich isn't that good. I saw a little bit of tape. Nah, I can't really pick her that much. She seemed a little simplistic to me, even though I did think that she was going to be younger and quicker. Jamie Lynn Horth, she does a lot of crazy stuff, and she was showing that off in the fight. She was throwing a lot of kicks. She was showing the judges a whole lot. I don't know, man. It's just crazy. I switched my pick and I ended up putting Jamie Lynn Horth on a parlay. Very first leg of my parlay. And I mean, when I saw the result, I literally was in shock. And then probably 20 seconds after that, I think I threw my remote on the ground because, that was just crazy to me. You could make an argument that Jamie Lynn Horth won every single round of that fight. She was just doing more volume. She was mixing it up. J.J. Aldrich was boxing the whole time. You could probably say that she won the second round. She was stinging Jamie Lynn Horth. She was landing good shots, right? You could give her the second round, all right? But Jamie Lynn Horth, round one, round three pretty easily. She was outstriking her. What else is there to say? That was insane. I see why they call it a robbery now, because it quite literally feels like the judges robbed you of your money, all right? And these bastards robbed me of my $5 and my 30% profit boost, you assholes. So freaking these hoo-ha judges need to go back to wherever the hell they came from, because that is one of the most insane decisions I've ever seen in my life. We move on to another woman's fight in Melissa Croden versus Daria Zeleznikova. I got this one wrong. I picked Daria Zeleznikova. I thought that her striking was going to be superior. I thought that she's fought better opponents, but Melissa Croden went out there in her home crowd. Daria was looking good in that first round. She was outstriking Melissa Croden, but she clearly won rounds 2 and 3. We move on to the heavyweights. Tanner Boser versus Gokam Sarakam. I got this one wrong. I originally picked Tanner Boser to win this fight. I thought that the styles matchup was going to be a problem for Gokam, and I liked the experience of Tanner. He had a little more experience in the UFC. So I thought that was all going to work in his advantage, and it ended up being kind of a cool fight. It was a little bit of a barn burner. They were both hitting each other, rocking each other back and forth. For a second there, they were scrapping good. Tanner Boser actually had Gokam hurt, pretty bad in the second round, I think. But Gokam ended up landing just a perfect straight right down the pipe, and just caught him right on the chin, put him out. Knockout cold, got the TKO. If you, like a lot of other people, had this as a lock for this fight to go the distance, then you are shit out of luck. But yeah, why are we betting on heavyweight fights to go the distance anyways? I guess, yeah, if they don't knock each other out. But you could say that about anything. If he didn't knock him out, he would have won. So Yeah. We move on to Julien LeBlanc versus Robert Valentin. Julien LeBlanc, the poor guy. I'm not sure if he's a distant cousin to Matt LeBlanc over here, but got completely mauled on the ground by Robert Valentin. This is one of those feel-good moments of the card. Robert Valentin, I believe his mother just passed away recently. I actually didn't know this while watching the fight, and I saw the way that he was, that he got so emotional and he was crying, and I was like, man, you know what? Good for him. Gets a good win. I think it's his first win in the UFC. I definitely picked Julien LeBlanc. I don't know why I picked him. I didn't really see much about Julien LeBlanc, but I guess I underestimated Robert Valentin. Man, if I would have known his mother passed, you can't underestimate someone who's going through a personal tragedy like that. Unless you're Anthony Smith, a personal tragedy, it might light a fire up under your ass. And yeah, he had a hell of a performance. So we'll see what he does next. We move on to the featured prelim, Denis Bazooka versus Marcio Barbosa. I did end up picking Marcio Barbosa. I know for sure I did, because this knockout had me absolutely freaking out. Sick knockout by Marcio Barbosa. Short fight, but even in the 1 or 2 minutes that they were scrapping, I thought Denis Bazooka actually looked pretty good. He looked kind of like he looks a bit like Marcio Ruffi, but he had a nice style. He was looking good, but yeah, they just got into this crazy little exchange, and he got caught with a perfect left hook. I mean, it's a real basic combo, 1, 2, 3. But all the basics are what really get you far in this sport. Nothing flashy. He caught him perfectly. Beautiful knockout. This guy got absolutely flatlined. Great way to end off the prelims. So we go on to the main card with Thiago Moises versus Gage Young. This was another really fun little scrap. I got this one right as well. It looks like I'm doing pretty good on picks so far, even including the robbery, which I'll gladly take. But yeah, Gage Young was just absolutely styling in this fight. I got a little nervous there. Gage Young, he is a little green. But yeah, I think I was right on Thiago Moises. He has fought really good guys, but I think he's just at the end of his run at this point. All the accumulated damage, I think it was just too much. He was grappling early in the fight, ended up getting a takedown. I did get a little nervous. I'm like, oh, shoot. But Gage Young, by the second round, he started absolutely piecing up Thiago Moises. By the third round, he was just straight up emoting on him. It was pretty funny to watch. But yeah, I think Thiago Moises, I think the grappling exchanges in the first round kind of gassed him out. And yeah, I mean, these are just things that happen to guys when they get a little older. They got a lot of wear and tear. It is to be expected. Thiago Moises, he was being referred to the whole time by the commentary team as the vet. Yeah, I guess you can give him kind of crafty vet status. He was crafting it up a little bit in there, but Gage Young was just the quicker, faster, more athletic guy out there. Gets the win. I want to see him get a ranked opponent next. We move on to Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Karine Silva. Jasmine ended up getting the win here in her home crowd, which was a nice little win for her. Karine Silva is pretty decent. She's had close fights with some good people. When she was keeping it on the feet, she was stinging Jasmine, landing good jabs, good straights. But yeah, Jasmine just took her down eventually, and in front of her home crowd and in front of the Canadian judges, she was going to squeak it out, even though, again, I have to remind people, number one criteria for scoring fights is damage. And, Karine Silva did land some good damage in this fight, but hey, it is what it is. Jasmine gets the win. I don't get this pick right, but, it's a women's fight, so who cares? We move on to another fight that I got wrong in Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert. This one really stung because he almost got the win. He almost had it. He had to be a little quicker than that, but no, actually, the issue was that he was rushing too much. Mandel Nalo threw some big bombs, big boppers at Jai Herbert. I picked him because I just thought that Jai Herbert was just, he was just a little old. I don't think he's looked super impressive in a lot of his fights. I don't think he's beaten a lot of super good guys. I think that Mandel Nalo had, he was coming off a great knockout, and he definitely showcased his power in this fight. But yeah, man, he got overconfident. It's just a story that we've seen before. I don't even want to talk about it, but we've seen this pretty recently. He had him hurt. He had him wobbled. He got a little cocky in there, and he got caught with I think it was a right hand. He got caught with a huge right hand that basically put him out. And, it was over from there. I think it was crazy because the fight didn't get stopped there. He kind of defended a lot, and which, as someone who also had money on this dude, this one actually really stung because he almost had it. Almost had it. And Jason Herzog gave him every single opportunity to recover, and he ended up getting back up on his feet, but he was absolutely out on his feet. He he was stumbling and wumbling all over the place. And yeah, I think it should have gotten stopped when that right hand landed, because ended up getting TKO'd, and it was not pretty to watch. So sucks for Mendonado losing in front of his home crowd like that. Jai Herbert back in the win column, though. Yeah, crazy comeback win for him. So yeah, Jai Herbert, who knows? Give him a, give Jai Herbert another unk, man. He just beat a young hot prospect. Let's give him I don't know who to give him. Who would you give Jai Herbert at lightweight? I mean, realistically, let's give him Quinlan Salkill. No, you can't give him Quinlan. I don't know who you can give him, honestly. But yeah, give him another unk. Give him Jim Miller. Jim Miller's a good fight. Why not? Give him Jim Miller. All right, that one's decent. Or like, I don't know, Chase Hooper. Give him Chase Hooper. That would actually be, that would be a fun fight. We move on to the co-main event: Kyler Phillips versus Charles Jourdain. Fight of the night, which is crazy. It was a fun scrap, but I wouldn't exactly say it was fight of the night. I picked Charles Jourdain to win this fight and ended up getting it right. But Kyler Phillips looked decent in this fight. I almost wanted to switch my pick last minute, because Kyler Phillips has fought some decent guys, but I also just think he's at the end of his run. He's looking a little washed nowadays. He gassed out badly. He got a takedown in round 1 and was looking good for a bit. But yeah, in rounds 2 and 3, I think what really lost him this fight was his body language. He just looked completely gassed. He looked exhausted. Charles Jourdain just was in this fight the whole time. He never looked tired. And I think that's what won him this fight, because, he was landing good shots, but it wasn't anything crazy. He did cut Kyler Phillips above the eye. I thought that Kyler Phillips was also landing some, he was landing some decent shots, but they were also mostly on the guard. But, either way, I thought he was hanging in there the whole time. So I guess in that aspect, I could sort of see how it was fighting the night. But, it seemed it was mostly Charles Jourdain kind of throwing crazy stuff to a gassed Kyler Phillips, throwing, constantly trying to throw flying knees and rolling thunders and all sorts of crazy stuff. He gets taken down. He's going for submissions off his back. He's a wild dude, Charles Jourdain. He's gotten a lot better ever since he moved to bantamweight, got a new haircut. Smooth, suave haircut Charles Jourdain might be a mythical fighter. So, bantamweight, he should have moved to this division a long time ago. And, I want to see Charles Jourdain fight, I don't know, give him Chito Vera. Chito Vera actually sounds like a fun matchup. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe if whenever Amin Zahabi loses to Sean O'Malley, you can give him. Let's get two Canadians fighting each other. All right. But yeah, Kyler Phillips, he should probably retire. We move on to the main event: Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. Tough way to go for Gilbert Burns. Gets TKO'd again, at least not in the first round this time. Mike Malott, he looked on fire that night. Even though Gilbert Burns, he's a little old, he's coming off a couple losses, I still think that to this day, Gilbert Burns is really good. And I think that he had a decent chance of winning this fight. I think the thing with Gilbert Burns is his durability is just not really there anymore, unfortunately, even though the last couple guys he's gone up against are real killers. Like Michael Morales is a really powerful dude. Like, him knocking you out in the first round, it is what it is. I feel like all the wars that Gilbert has been through, and the fact that he's always been kind of an undersized welterweight. He had his moments in this fight. He was hanging in there. I wish he would have hung in there just a little bit longer. All right, if he could have at least made it out the third round, or I thought he could have made it to the distance, but Mike Malott gets him out of there. Looked really, really good. Looked sharp, was just way, way bigger than Gilbert Burns. He's just doing the Michael Morales strat of just looping punches around the guard, and it worked. I think it was actually an uppercut that basically initiated the finishing sequence. And yeah, great win for Mike Malott. Before this, he beats Kevin Holland. I think Mike Malott is definitely a top 10 fighter, but I don't know who he beats in the top 5. I think he gets slimed out by everyone in the top 5 at welterweight, and he's 34 years old. It's kind of crazy that this guy's basically like Canada's biggest prospect, and he's basically almost, I mean, he still looked like he was in his prime in that fight, honestly. But I'm just not sure how much he has left in him. I think if you give him a real killer at welterweight, it's going to cause some problems. Out of everyone in the top 10, I think Mike Malott could probably, he could definitely beat Colby Covington. You know what? I know the perfect matchup for Mike Malott. Hear me out. The UFC's already given this guy very favorable matchups. He just beat Gilbert Burns, who was like ranked, what was he like, ranked 11, right? So if they want to give him a step up, I mean, they can give him Sean Brady. Or if they really, really want to make a fun fight and they really want to give him the layup of all layups, you give him Colby Covington. I mean, come on. It's like Canada versus United States. All right. Colby Covington, he'd probably want to get back up there in the rankings. All right. This young hot shot is higher than him. All right. I know he ain't going to let that slide. I kind of want to see that fight because who the hell else is Colby Covington going to fight? You think that Colby Covington's going to fight someone outside the rankings? Hell no. I think that's a fun fight. Make that fight. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. You can give him Sean Brady too. Why not? That would be a fun fight as well. So next week we got Yusuf Zalal versus Aljamain Sterling. PU stinky main event, but I will be making my predictions video coming later this week. So stay tuned. Give a like to this video if you enjoyed it. Stay subscribed, and I'll see you next time.